马上，我们就以热情的掌声来欢迎到的是国家发展委员会我们的陈美玲主任委员上台来为我们致辞。
The application of DLT distributed ledger technology, with its decentralized and unalterable characteristics and its ability to provide a highly transparent and secure trust mechanism, has been extended from the financial sector, such as cryptocurrency, to industrial areas and even in the smart cities. Many businesses, including in Taiwan and around the globe, are keen to enter this area and have created many business opportunities and great potential of application.
热情的掌声欢迎市长。
国际分散式技术应用 （Distributed Ledger Technology） 简称 DLT， 是近年来科技发展的重要指标项目。跨国新创加速公司布斯创意投资股有限公司特别举办分散式账本技术应用及投资趋势论坛，邀集近100位长官学的专家来讨论 DLT 分散式账本相关技术应用、STO 证券型代币发行法规及金融科技发展与大型投资机构的交流等3大主题，希望集思广益，为台湾与国际的产业接轨来努力。其中 DLT 分散式账本技术是目前市场上重要的新兴技术，具有区块链、去中心化和不可篡改之特色，因应各式产业的应用，可以达到节省时间跟人力成本的目标。
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Alex Liu. Welcome him. 我们用掌声欢迎他，有请。好的，我们再一次用热情的掌声欢迎我们的施伟先生，好吗？欢迎 Alex。
Good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here in Taipei, my hometown, where I returned 5 years ago to embark on this journey with the belief that Taiwan over time would emerge as among the best, if not the best place in Asia to blend our physical world that we all inhabit with the cyber world that very clearly over the last 2 decades it has taken on a life of its own. And I think where these two worlds come together from a topical perspective is this idea of asset-backed or so-called securitized tokens, and where it happens geographically is right here in Taiwan. A bit about us, it's a bit of an eye chart, but we were the first platform to offer fiat to crypto services back almost exactly 5 years ago. This was the so-called MaiCoin platform. In the ensuing years, we entered into a joint venture with several local financial institutions, including Fubon Financial and Taishin, to create AMI, which is the name of a local Aboriginal tribe, but also means friends in French. And that is a spirit of what we intend to use this technology to do, is to interconnect the world in a friendly fashion. About a year ago, we launched our first order book exchange, the MaiCoin Asset Exchange, MAX for short. And to this day, it remains the only exchange in the region that actually employs full custodial services by a bank to segregate our own company funds from those funds of our customers. Now, what Max has really embarked on is this effort to combine two worlds. Okay, one of which is on the bottom row is the cryptocurrency world, which as of this year is 10 years old. Of course, it started with the granddaddy, Bitcoin, but in the ensuing years has come to encompass many thousands of coins with their own blockchain or tokens issued on general purpose blockchains such as Ethereum. On the top row, the other trend that we are very much participants in is that of crowdfunding, both project-based, so-called project-based crowdfunding like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but blending into so-called equity-based crowdfunding, where you can actually buy shares of very early-stage companies. With STOs, these two worlds come together. You know, I don't know about you, but when I look at the thousands of tokens out there or the hundreds being traded on exchanges, I frankly don't know what I'm looking at. You know, to paraphrase an old Wendy's hamburger commercial, you know, in many cases, where's the beef? What exactly are you buying when you purchase one of these tokens? And this is where regulation comes in. Regulation, governments exist to protect the rights of the consumer, of the average citizen. And this is where, in the past half year, we've made tremendous progress with our government here in Taiwan, with the National Development Council's support. We've been in very close touch with our financial regulator here, called the FSC, the Financial Supervisory Commission, and are in the process of formulating what we believe to be the first set of regulations in the world that allow companies to raise funds or to inject liquidity into their assets with a securitized token, but very importantly, allows retail investors to come in and participate. So if we look at what's going on around the world with STOs in the United States, other parts of Asia like Hong Kong and Singapore, regulators there are not contemplating in any form of retail participation. But if we think about it closely, cryptocurrencies are fundamentally a retail phenomenon. It's about the young person, most likely under age 30, taking a bit of his or her personal funds, buying Bitcoin, perhaps becoming rich with that, and then using that purchasing power to buy trade for other tokens. So as if to underline the importance of security and of custodial services such as those offered by banks, just this morning it emerged that the biggest security token on the planet, the one backed by the US dollar, commonly known as Tether or USDT, this morning the Attorney General in the state of New York brought a suit against the operators of Tether. And that is both a demonstration of how popular this security token or how powerful it is, but also the problems inherent in the current model, the unregulated model. And that's exactly what we're trying to change here, starting in Taiwan. Okay. Now, what I want to convince you of in the ensuing minutes is why Taiwan has a unique set of factors, both push and pull, that will allow us in the near future to be among the leading jurisdictions for asset-backed tokens. First off, on the left-hand side are our demographics here. We're one of the most rapidly aging societies in the world. Our birth rate here is actually lower than that of Japan. And that actually has a very direct correlation with the chart on the right-hand side, which is a depiction of the average trading volumes on our stock exchange over the past 20 years. You can see that at best it stays stagnant, but over time you see declining volumes. And the simple connection between these two charts are that young folks have very little interest in stocks. They do not trade stocks. They would rather trade tokens. But it's important that if young folks trade tokens or buy tokens, that they be, sold something that's actually worthwhile. Okay, so if we look at security tokens or asset-backed tokens from three perspectives, that of the investor, so young folks in this case, compared to stocks, tokens of course offer much, much better liquidity. So instead of trading 4.5 hours a day, 5 days a week on the stock exchange here, we get 24/7, 365 trading. Compared to the minimum unit of trade on the stock exchange, which is one share, you can, as you know, divide it almost infinitesimally with the token technology. And then, unlike waiting for stocks to settle after 2 or 3 days, essentially you have instantaneous settlement when you do a trade on the blockchain. For issuers, i.e. startup companies or small to medium-sized businesses that want to inject liquidity into their asset base, there's a much lower barrier to doing so than comparing to listing on the OTC or on the stock exchange. With STOs, it's not quite as easy as just writing your own white paper, but the middle ground is something that we're working to refine, where there's enough disclosure for the investor that they know what they're buying, And moreover, there are some legal protections for the investor, but it's not as cumbersome as listing on the public markets. And then from a more global perspective, what we think we're going to do to capital markets here is to inject an uplift in prices, primarily due to liquidity. The liquidity that we're introducing to both issuers and investors will be evinced in the form of a price premium that if we take one share of TSMC stock, for instance, and we tokenize it, we believe that the TSMC token will actually trade at a premium to the underlying stock. Why? Because hedge funds will love this token to hedge their position in the off hours when TSMC stock is not being traded. And so this is one of the experiments that we're actually running here in Taiwan, not only with private equity like that of startup companies, but with public equity like that of TSMC. The societal factors beyond the rapidly aging population are the following. So we, perhaps more acutely than many other societies, have a brain drain problem. Young folks here in Taiwan, if they had their choice, 2/3 of them would actually leave Taiwan. The reason for that is because they don't see abundant opportunities here. Wages are depressed. They've actually experienced negative wage growth. In other words, there's been a wage decline trend in the last 2 decades. People find better opportunities on the mainland. And perhaps most importantly, because we've experienced this ourselves operating as a startup here, there's an extreme scarcity of risk capital. It's very, very hard for young folks to raise money to start their own companies here. On the other hand, Taiwan has all the necessary ingredients to be a world leader in asset-backed tokens. The depth of our talent pool, I think, does not need to be reinforced. There's plenty of capital. It may not be risk capital, but there's plenty of savings in our financial institutions and in our households. And then it's just a very friendly place to do business and to live. And I think these advantages will evince themselves over time as we get underway with STOs. Of course, this new capital market being built around STOs does not exist in a vacuum. We have our OTC exchange in Taiwan. We have our stock exchange. So what we see is a natural feeder action for our early stage or SMEs that can tap global liquidity via tokens. Very naturally, they would feed into the existing securities exchanges. Okay. Now, what is this new financial product embodied by this security token? Well, it's some blend of the existing tokens being traded on the market, the so-called utility tokens, with traditional securities. Okay, so in our initial design for our own security token issuance, holders of the security token can participate in, of course, capital gains, the appreciation of the token itself if the business performs well, but also dividend payments. So if the business is making money, we would rebate some of those profits to our token holders. But for now, they do not have governance or voting rights. So in this sense, this is not a true equity share that they hold when they hold the token. And if things go as we expect them to, around the June timeframe, we will be offering this STO to the global market and to a certain limited extent to retail investors as well. Okay, so yeah, this is basically saying that as we're seeing year by year, we're very clearly on the right side of history. Millennials now are just coming into their own as economic agents. In the next 1 or 2 decades, when they become the bulk of investing and purchasing power in society, they're going to look at what we offer as a better deal than certainly the tokens of today, which I think will be quickly obsoleted. The vast majority, not all, but the vast majority, because tokens actually have some guarantees or some rights accorded to them. At the same time, compared to traditional investments in real estate or in the equity or fixed income markets, we're going to offer access to much earlier and much more exciting and, of course, higher risk, but much higher return type deals. And so we believe that it's an inevitable march with the generational shift coming, that security tokens will become the favored type of investment. Okay, and then last but not least, in the theme of melding the cyber and physical worlds, MaiCoin, we will be opening this new space in the July period. We'll move in ourselves in June, but we'll have our formal opening to the public in July. It's a mixed-use space. This is in the Guanghua Sangcang area of town, so a few subway stops from here. But the first floor is a retail space where customers can come in and open accounts. They can look at what new tokens or offerings are being traded. There will be actually a VIP lounge on the first floor, so for our valued customers, they can take a break here. The second and third floor is a venture studio and accelerator, but in a very different mold from every accelerator that's come before. We will handpick projects. We have our own investment theses, or actually market theses, around how blockchain technology is going to develop, AI and IoT. And based on these theses, we will go out and source teams to build out the thesis. We will provide these teams with investment capital, and then at an appropriate time, the plan is to issue STOs for them so that they can have growth capital to take things to the next stage. The fourth and fifth floor are our own office spaces. So we very much welcome you to visit us come July. And so going back, yeah. So in summary, it is an inevitable trend for tokens to mean more in the real world, for them to be backed by not only assets, but legal protections. Because of our unique set of factors here in Taiwan, we're going to be among the first, if not the first, to open this market to retail investors. And that's capturing the true essence of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And in the process, I very much agree with Mayor Ke. I think that because of this technology, because of this movement embodied in STOs, I think in 5 to 10 years' time, when people think of Asian financial centers, they will not only think of Hong Kong and Singapore, but also Taiwan. So thank you very much.
谢谢，让我们用热情的掌声，谢谢 Alex 为我们带来精彩的分享。